What's going on, guys? In this video, we are going to be learning how to add columns to an existing data frame. So sometimes if we have an existing data frame, we might need to add additional information to the data frame. And this can be easily done in Pandas. All right, so the first thing we'll do, of course, is import pandas as PD. And then we'll read in our movie.csv into the data frame. Now, we've been using this data set throughout the videos in this series, so you should be quite familiar with this data set now. So I'll run this, and just in case they're new viewers, we'll run df.head. And as you can see, this is a data set concerning movies. So you have director names as the indices, color representing if it was black and white or color, number of critic for reviewers, duration, etc., etc. So if we scroll down, you'll see that we have 27 columns. And we can get a list of all the columns, df.columns. Now, if you want to get the len of the columns, another way is using len df.columns, which brings out 27, the earlier output. Alright, now we'll discuss creating new columns or adding columns to this existing data frame. And it is very simple in Pandas. First, once again, we'll look at the shape of the data frame. So it's 4916, 4,916 rows, and 27 columns. Data frames are of rectangular shape. Alright. Adding a new column is very simple. You just call df and use the square brackets with the new column name. So our new column is going to be called new column, and we're going to assign it the value test. Now notice how despite being 4,916 rows, I'm only assigning it one value. This is because Pandas or NumPy handles the situation in the background using something called broadcasting. So a single value is propagated to all the rows, thus basically creating multiple copies of test until all the rows have this single value. So we will have 4,916 tests, and they're all represented within the df new column. Now if I run the cell, we will automatically create a new column. And if we check df.columns, you'll see at the very end, we have a new column called new column. So it's very simple to create new columns or add columns to an existing data frame. Now, if we look at the values, you'll see that they're all tests because due to broadcasting, the test value has been propagated to the other cells or the other rows. Now, another way of creating a new column is to actually give it a series of values. So our new column 2 is going to be actually an existing column, a df duration, and we're just going to add 5 to it. Now this plus 5 is once again due to broadcasting is going to be applied to each of the cells in df.duration. So each of the cells are going to be increased by 5. Since this series matches the length of the new column, df new column 2, we will easily be able to create a new column via this method as well. So if we check new column and duration, you should see that new column 2 is 5 more than duration. Alright, so if we compare new column 2 and duration, you'll see that the duration of the movie has been increased by 5. So this is the other way of creating a new column. Basically, you give it either a list of values whose number of elements matches the number of rows in the data frame, or you can actually just give it an existing series and do some manipulation to it. Now, if we look at df.columns, you'll see that new column 2 has been added as well. Now, one thing you'll notice is that we're adding columns only to the end of the data frame. Now, depending on your preference, you might want to add columns somewhere within the data frame itself. So say you want to add the column after color, or maybe after critics for reviews or duration. Now, Pandas allows us to do this as well. And we can do this using df.insert. Alright, so this is df.insert. Now, if you're on Jupyter Notebook, there's a cool trick. By pressing Shift and Tab, you get to see the signature of the method. So df.insert, you have the location, which is basically the index of where we want to insert the column. So if we look at the columns here, color represents index 0, critic for reviews represents index 1. So it's not only rows that have indices, columns have indices as well. Now if you go back to df.insert, the column is the name of the column, the value is going to be the values of the column, and allow duplicates equals false, if I'm not mistaken, it's allowing you to make duplicate columns. I'll have to get back to you on allow duplicates. Alright, now if you want to see some more information within the docstring, all you need to do is press this caret tab, and we'll get a lot more information. So we have insertion index, where we want to insert the column, basically the column name, the value, the series, int, or array like, and allow duplicates, a boolean, and it's optional. So there's not much information here about allow duplicates. All right. So let's try to apply this method onto our existing data frame. So we have df.insert, and now in the 0th column, we're going to add final column. So final column will represent the name of the column. The 0th value, or the 0 value, will represent where we want to insert within the data frame. So the 0 is representing the first column, and the final df.newColumn plus 3 is just representing the values that we want to give final column. So new column 2 was actually duration plus 5. So by adding an additional 3, we're going to have it duration plus 8, or the resulting values will be duration plus 8. So it's very easy to create columns in Pandas. Now if I run this, and if I run df.head, you'll see that the 0th column is actually the final column. And if we compare with duration, you'll see that it's actually plus 8 to each of the values within duration. Alright, so that's it for adding columns in Pandas. I'll see you guys next time.